outside that gala venue in Polokwane. Senior reporter Ziyanda Ngcobo, our senior politics reporter. And Ziyanda, Goli was just getting the views of the ANC chairperson, Gwede Mandashe, who admits there are problems, but also at the same time doesn't want, I suppose, to paraphrase, all of this blown out of proportion. What are you hearing from where you're standing?
Well, Tembekile, I'm actually inside the venue and the lights have come back on. And I'm joined by Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana, who's also an NEC member. I think it's safe to say that this was an embarrassing moment and happening after several events where we've seen that there seems to be disruptions every time the president needs to speak.
No, I think it's an embarrassing event to the extent that it's a venue issue. Outside this venue, there's electricity. So there's a problem with this venue. The fortunate is that the president was about to conclude his speech, so it's not a major problem in that sense.
I'm sorry though, Mr. Godongwana, one cannot help but think that there might be a serious security issue here. If we think about what happened at the Lillian Ngoyi lecture, if we look at what happened at the Peter Mokaba lecture and now this where the lights just suddenly went out, it's hard not to think that there might be a problem here.
No, on those two venues, there was no security issue. On those two, in the first one, it was compliance with COVID-19. The venue was not suitable in that regard. In the last Peter Mokaba lecture, the venue was too small and there were people who were protesting. We wanted also the opportunity to see the president. I don't see that as a security issue. This venue, I don't rule out what you're talking about in this venue, that there's a possibility someone must have interfered with the electricity situation. I don't rule that out because outside in the whole complex there's electricity. Only this venue doesn't have it. So I don't rule out that possibility. But for the two other venues, it's a different story.
And since you don't rule out the possibility that someone might have tampered specifically with this hall, what does this then say about, the safety of the president, but also about how the ANC factions may actually have a contribution towards this embarrassing moment?
Look, at this moment, it's still too premature to come to such a conclusion. All I'm saying, the point I'm conceding to you is that in this venue, there's electricity across the board. So it's not that there's an electricity backlog. The possibility of someone having tampered with electricity exists. I'm not saying that's a fact. However, I'm saying I don't want to then say, general, the entire trip has been marred by security problems. No.
But you can say they've been marred with several embarrassments. We can agree on that.
No, all of those issues were embarrassing. Again, it's not the president, not the national executive. It's the people who are organizing the venues, which are local people.
How would you respond to those who may interpret this as the Limpopo province, or some within the Limpopo province, I should say, not being welcoming towards the president of the African National Congress?
Let me tell you the following. You will see that in December. Overwhelmingly, this province support the president.
In December, the elective conference, is that what you're speaking about?
Mark my words, you will see that this province is fully behind the president.
All right, I'll leave you there. Enoch Godongwana, he's the finance minister and NEC member. Well, I suppose also adding on to...
Listen to what he's going to say now.
Oh, I will definitely do that. Well, I'm being told to listen to what is going to be said right now. Tembekile, finance minister, also almost pretty much backing up and echoing what Stan Mathabat had said earlier on, but most importantly, Tembekile, not ruling out the possibility that there was a security problem at this venue and that the electricity could have been tampered with, because absolutely correctly observation from Enoch Godongwana that the lights in the other buildings around this hall were perfectly fine except for this one. And we all know that the president has now left this venue and we've had to now this event has now had to continue without him, but let's hear what is being said on stage.
Let's see if we can catch that, please.
Cabinet ministers, deputy ministers, members of parliament, and the provincial legislatures. I thought this thing of writing noisemakers only happened at primary school. Program director, members of parliament and provincial legislatures, members of the diplomatic corps, our traditional leaders and religious leaders, provincial deputy chairperson, and your collective provincial and regional leadership collective, MEC and mayors, alliance leadership, corporate and civil society leaders, distinguished guests, comrades and compatriots, Amandla. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is my singular honor and privilege on behalf of the Polokwane City residents and the ANC Pitamkawa's regional membership and the leadership to extend our sincere appreciation to both the ANC national and provincial leadership for having chosen our region and Limpopo as a province to host.
Okay, you're watching now the resumption of the program at the ANC Gala in Polokwane. A gala now that's essentially happening without the main guest. A wedding reception without the bride, so to speak, because the president of the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa, had to make a hurried exit about 20 minutes ago after a sudden power outage inside the hall. But what has been curious is that the buildings, as our reporter Ziyanda Ngcobo was just telling us, the buildings right next to this hall still had power during that outage, but the power's now come back. We'll go back